Well, hello, welcome back to the Sloppy Modeler. Welcome back to the channel. We have just completed the USS Discovery, and I'm waiting on some parts to do the USS Glenn out of the Star Trek US Discovery universe. And now I'm about to embark on perhaps my most anticipated model out of this group, and that is Constitution class USS Enterprise Ncc 1701, the Enterprise 1/2500 scale. And I do know that this kit can be lit. I've seen Lou Del Maso and several other guys like this kit online, and I'm really excited about having it in as part of the program. I've not opened this up yet, but we're going to go ahead and open it up, and I'm sure just as the other kits that we saw, that this box is about 2/3 larger than it needs to be, because there's not much in these particular kits, as I understand. And as usual, the boxes are very challenging to open up. There we go. Well, we almost made it to a half of a box full there. So the Star Trek Discovery from Polar Lights Round 2. Here's the assembly instructions, glue, all the usual stuff that you have. Looks like for the nacelles there are 5 parts, both sides of the nacelle, and then you've got the Bassard collector, and then this exhaust port here. And I understand that exhaust port is clear. So that's going to be an interesting light blocking situation on that. Both nacelles are done the same way, and then you've got going on to the pylon, plus the traditional 3 intercoolers and chiller grills, if you will. So both pylons are done that way, and then into the saucer section, it appears that you've got in the saucer section, it appears that you've got the saucer, upper saucer, the glass that goes in for the bridge, and this piece along here, and that section all clear. And then the planetary sensor dome, impulse engines, and then that sandwiches, and you're pretty well done. Back on the secondary hull, deflector dish housing, deflector dish, 2 sides of the secondary hull, and then this is probably, I'm assuming that is the bay for the shuttle bay. And then last thing here again is the assembly, so both nacelles, this primary secondary hull, and then on to the process here. Now it says some modelers may choose to sand off the raised details indicated here to allow decals 35, 38, and 39 to apply to flat surfaces. That's in French, so I don't know how to read that. And I am going to do that because even just going over those raised surfaces on the Discovery primary hull, it was a super nightmare. Just they wouldn't lay down, and so trying to do that, I can assume would be as difficult to do as it was for the regular, for the Discovery itself. Opening up the plastic, of course we've got our traditional small little dome there, so we'll put that to the side. Same thing we've talked about. I don't know if they're mold marks or color discolorations, but same thing here, especially the bottom hull has got quite a bit of discolorations and serrations on it. Same with the upper hull, so there's some of those that are on it. And so I'm going to go ahead and paint this, and it looks like I'm going to paint it to silver. maybe a platinum. I'll have to figure that out. Here are those raised details that will have to come off, and I think probably sanding those is the best idea, or maybe I think sanding that off is probably your best course of action. Of course, here is one of the bigger challenges, of course, and that is your pylons are single layer, and I've got to get a set of wires up through there, and boy, I'll tell you, they're narrow and tiny, and then you would have to deal with getting them into the nacelles and then getting them into the secondary hull. And even these appear smaller to me than what the nacelles on the NX-01 were for us. So I will take a break for a second, and then I'll be back with you. So as we know, the big challenge with this kit is trying to get wiring up to the nacelles. These have been a bane of many a modeler doing this kit. That is a single piece, and there's not two-sided area, so you can't trench out. Instead, you have to possibly drill that or figure out a way to run them up the inside. You've got to get two wires up that pylon, and I'm not sure how to do that yet, but we're going to try to figure that out, and if I can manage it, that's great, but we'll have to see. These nacelles are tiny, and I'd say that they're smaller than what you had with the NX-01 at the 1/1000 scale. They were larger than that. Really tiny pieces here for these chiller grills, and I think I saw on here is the two little intercoolers that go there, and the bridge is pretty tiny as well. So I mean, this is a tiny kit. Shouldn't take long to build. It'll take a long time to wire as we try to get this figured out and make this come together as a finished model. But I'm excited about it. I have pre-ordered the Enterprise from Discovery in the 1/1000 kit, so that should be 2.5 times larger. So you know, you should have hopefully have an upper hull about that big. Don't know, but we'll see. Very excited. The glass looks pretty nice, especially like these nacelle glass. That's going to be really pretty easy to do, it looks like. Again, here's the pieces I was talking about on the rear of the nacelles. That's all glass, so I'm not sure what I have to do there. And then finally, the impulse engine. So we've got some work to do. Not a lot of room once you're up in here for lighting the nacelle or the impulse engine. So that's going to be a tight fit. Definitely going to use small SMDs for most of this, and then see if I can light block it from the white that's coming up in the front here. So I'm going to go to work on this, cleaning the parts, and then we will be back with starting with putting the primer on this 2 coats of black primer on the interior, coat of white paint on the interior. Same with this. I don't know if I have to do this because there's really nothing that's going to be lit on that. It's all solid, so I'm not, and there's no windows there, none in the neck, so I'm not even going to try to do that. But we definitely have some really tiny hulls, secondary hulls, and so then 2 coats of white or 2 coats of black primer, and then a coat of white paint. Same thing here, 2 coats of black primer, coat of white paint. And then the big key is can I drill that part out right there to make it fit in here with any degree of nicety, right? You know, you can do it, but does it look good when you're all said and done? All right, well, that is it for the introduction to the Enterprise, and I will be back after we've got some work done on this. Thank you. Welcome back to the USS Enterprise 1701 from the Star Trek Discovery episode. So let's talk about Haven't even got these parts to wash yet, but I wanted to go ahead and figure out my wiring chases and see if I could make that happen. And I think I'm pretty well scored. So I just need to get 2 wires up through that nacelle and out to the up to the nacelle, right? So what I did was take my Dremel, and this is a 70 gauge bit in there, and started from the top and started from the bottom. And one side went out really nice, the other side's going to need a little bit of putty, but I think that's okay because I'm pretty sure that that's going to be covered with paint, and I just need a little bit of putty in that piece. This is the same thing. I need a little bit of putty and sanding along that side, and just a little touch of putty and sanding on that side. There's not a lot of space in there, but I can get 2 pieces of magnet wire in through there just by doing the drilling that I did. So that's 2 pieces of magnet wire there. I was able to do 2 in this one. I just have 1 in at the moment. And then the other thing that I did was grind away where these meet at the secondary hull. I was able to grind away that little spot right there. And that gives me the ability to, again, tuck in, and then these 2 fit something like this. So when they go in and press against each other, there's still room in there for that. There's still room in there for that wire. Same thing here. Tucked it into the center, and now we're going to be good to go on that piece. So very excited. I was able to get that done. This piece looks good here, and the rest will look great once we get them filled and sanded and set. They actually fit into the pylon, or the nacelles fit in here really nice. And again, just a simple hole. And then make sure I got the right ones. No problem. Simple hole, and you can put both of your wires in there. And then once the wires are in, just simply a matter of, oh, I did have the right one. I'm sorry, folks. And you can close those up, and you can still move the wire in and out with that, just like that. So that is the majority of the wiring that has to take place. There is a couple others. So this peg is really nice. All I did was just take my regular 1/16 inch drill, which you can put 2 wires through that quite easily, and drilled right down through the center of that hole right there. And we can run wiring up into the into the secondary hull. And all I did there was just put a quick hole in the neck, and my wiring will run right down through there into the secondary hull, and we should be good to go there. So wiring chases are all taken care of. So my next step now is to actually go into the parts bin and wash everything up, and then once it's all washed up, like me, once parts are washed up, then I can start the primering, as I was talking about. Now the other thing that I did is I went ahead and shaved off the side detail where the pylon, or where the pennants go, and then sanded those back. And I think once I get a coat of primer and do a sand on that, that's going to be really nice to decal over. I don't know how nice or how hard this is going to be to decal over this piece, and I don't even know if there's a decal that goes over that, because I haven't seen it. Haven't even seen the decals yet, haven't even opened them up, but I suspect that just like the traditional, you have your square and your red and so forth. And wow, okay, so I was wrong. two sheets of decals. And let's go to the decal section here on the bottom. And you're going to have decal number 35 and 36 are on the bottom. So if I take a look at that here quickly. So this is 35 and then 36. 36 is right here. That's going to look nice. That's going to look really nice on the bottom of that. I'm going to do some sanding there. But that 35 is going to go right over the bottom of that. And I think that's going to be a Microsol Fiesta to put that in and get it to sit down on those correctly. So that's going to be a lot of work. And I guess I'll just deal with it. But my opinion on a model this size, yeah, if you weren't going to decal it or put paint on it or anything, yeah, that detail would be alright, but on this size, it's just actually a pain in the neck to Microsol over and get it to all close up. You can see here that it's going to be a tiny kit. I mean, that is just tiny. There's your length in a nutshell right there. And that's your kit, maybe 8 inches long. So definitely a work in micro scale. Now the inside of this, I do have room to add a red bulb here. I've got room to add a red bulb there. I'm sorry, a blue bulb facing back. And I think because of the way these work, I'm going to put that blue bulb here, right in the center, and right behind that number centered upright piece. And I hope that that will give me a little bit of diffusion, and I might actually even pack that with fiber fill. I think that would look nice. And then I have enough room to add even one more light white here for the exhaust, and I got to figure that out, what those look like and how those go together, because I've got to somehow get 3 resistors into that pylon right there. And I think what I can do is do them all on this side, so I'll run the wire here, run the wire there, run the wire there, and put 3 resistors in here, put this in. That way I can wire this all, and then once it's in, I can then put just this as a cover over the top of it, and then work on the seams, etc. So very tiny, but I'm excited that I was able to get through those pylons. It was about 40 minutes of work with some super tiny bits, and I actually broke one. I hate breaking a bit, but this is actually one that goes in the kit. But anyway, that is the mechanicals behind the wiring chases. We're going to work on this some more. Like I said, now it's time to go get these parts washed. And then once they're washed up, then it'll be time to get some primer on it. So until then, we'll talk to you soon. Okay, hey, welcome back to the Sloppy Modeler. Welcome back to the USS Enterprise, the NCC 1701, the original Constitution class from Star Trek Discovery. I don't know if I'll be able to repeat that, but that's a lot of fun. So, I want to bring you up to speed. Right now the parts have been washed, and now I have put them into the first coat of primer for light blocking purposes have been done, and those are sitting in the paint booth in the other room. So we're going to work on that. So I did mix up a paint color, and that paint color that I'm going to go with, I mixed up about 45% pure platinum, 45% titanium. They are 2 different colors. Titanium's much darker than the pure platinum. And then I added in about 10% of the champagne. And I've used that champagne before, and I really like that color. And I think it adds a lot of shimmer to what we're talking about. So those are my 3 colors to make this right here. And I've been shaking it up, stirring it up, etc. And you can see I've still got some more work to do on that. But that is an awesome looking color, especially if I put it against, I want to make sure I got enough light on, if I put it against any of the hull decals it's going to be a real nice contrast. And I think it'll really make these pop in here and bring a nice silver. I hope it's not too deep of a contrast. I don't think it's going to be. I think we're going to be just fine at that point. So that is the color. Now, one of the things that we're doing on this is I went ahead and I probably curse myself for this later, but the traditional Constitution class, these 4 spots, which they've done in gray decals here, those 4 spots traditionally are 4 square lights, and they have been a part of the Constitution class as long as I can remember. I'm already putting a 5mm LED into this upper cockpit or upper bridge, and that should light up these lights here, and it should light up this light here. I don't know if it'll light these here. That's just simply unknown yet. But I'm going to try to get light to those 4 spots. And I might have to put 4 little SMDs, white SMDs, under each of those to make that light up. But that is something that I definitely want to do. Lighting additionally, I'm going to have a bulb here for the red. I'm going to do these dark red as I've done before. And I might even figure that out a little bit differently this time too. And then these here, which are the exhaust ports, a couple of quick things. Number one, I went ahead and used my liquid mask on the inside and the outside of that clear membrane that's between those two. And on top of that, you're supposed to add these 2 decals here, which are number 69 and 69. And they're supposed to give you, hopefully, this pattern. And if I can get that pattern, I am just going to be absolutely head over heels pleased, because here's the decals. They're really dark blue, so all I have to do is get white light out through those, and they will light up like crazy. If you put them in there, you can see how nice those are going to look, just getting white light into there. So I can do a light in the back of the nacelle for just pure white, and that should get us there. The other thing I'm not going to do, but would be very cool for some enterprising, for an enterprising model builder, they went ahead and put pylon light up lights, 2 here, 2 there, I'm sure, and then 1 on the inside. That's a total of 6 additional lights, and there's just not enough room for wiring and for resistors and all that to go into there. But a guy could use those little micro SMDs, and I'm talking the little ones like the 0402, which is 1/2 millimeter or 40% of a millimeter square. They look smaller than a grain of rice. They're a lot smaller than a grain of rice, quite honestly. And so on the side of this, they've got that lit up. I don't think the decals do that. Quite honestly, I'm pretty sure they don't. And they don't have this light here nor this light there. And on the top side, they don't have, this is just a decal, and that's a light. These are chase lights. I'm not putting all that in this little tiny 1/2500 scale kit. Maybe in the 1/1000 that's coming. Maybe I can do that, but it's not going to happen here. However, I am kind of thrilled with doing the lights up in the main saucer section, and I think that's going to brighten that up. Now, the other thing I'm going to look at carefully is whether or not these these nacelles are the same color here, whether they're done with decal or whether they do them with lights, or what exactly that entails. But this is a cute little kit, and I'm really, really thrilled with that paint color. It's not just silver. It looks it looks really nice, and it looks pretty close to what we're talking about. It's brighter than this, but I want it to be, and I think that this is going to be the color that I see when I'm looking at the Blu-rays on my screen. So that is our little bit of update. I got to put a second coat of black primer on the insides, then a coat of white paint, and then a coat of I'm going to go with a coat of black primer over the outside, because this silver will look nicer against that, and it should darken it up a little bit and get us there. But for the most part, I'm really kind of excited to see how this paint's going to turn out on that hull color and the nacelles, etc. So that is it for us at the moment. When I come back, we'll be working on the nacelles, And other key is here is how to diffuse the light behind those when I get a blue light in the center of them. Got a couple of ideas, but we'll have to see how that works as we come towards it. I'm thinking fiberfill in there to just make that blue light up across there, and then have it white with fiberfill behind it when it's not lit up. And then the same with the impulse engines and the red behind that. Okay, having fun. I'm getting my wiring and my resistors prepped, so we've got some of that ready to go. And I did do a 5mm. One thing I did do already is I took a 5mm bright white, cool white, not warm white, LED 5mm, and I went ahead and sanded it. And I wanted to do that because I think that it's going to give quite a bit more. It's going to give quite a bit more diffused light inside the bridge. And I think if you see here, if I put that against there, that's going to light up, or maybe I can put it against there, it's going to light up the bridge and all the windows without being too bright. So that's going to take a little doing, but I wanted to do that. I could even put it there and it wouldn't be super overly bright. But we'll make some progress. But I just took regular sandpaper and buffed that up and gave it a much duller appearance, and it will diffuse light better than just having it go straight out the front. So we've sanded that whole thing with just some sandpaper, and we should be good to go there. All right, stay with me, and when we come back, we'll have work on the nacelles. Thanks. All right, back with you on the USS Enterprise from the USS Discovery universe. And what we've got is we've got a gray coat of primer on the bottom of the hull, 2 coats of black, coat of white, and looks like I'm pretty well covered as far as light blocking coming from the outside. And same thing on the upper hull with a coat of white in there. So that is ready to paint. I've actually finished up. Here are the 2 end pieces have been painted gray, and now they're ready to spray with my silver color. This is the front of the or the back of the deflector dish, and so this is a snap tight kit, and normally you would have to normally it has 2 pieces that catch in there, but I want to be able to do my wiring where I can bring them forward, do the wiring, and then stuff them back in, and then put this in. So I had to clip off. There were 2 catch points here, like little clips that came up, and you had to have the hull close in on them. So what I did now, I can go ahead and keep this open as long as possible, and then close it up. And the last thing I would put in would be that front deflector dish housing, and that way I can keep the back in. Now, one thing I'm not super thrilled with is this fan tail back here. I think it's out of proportion. I don't think it serves any purpose. It's going to take a little bit of fill, but we'll get through that. The nacelles fit on pretty nice without too big of a gap. A couple of little spots, there's a gap there, so that's going to take some fill and putty after it's done. So this is kind of a thought process of how do I get this painted and then get these seams filled and then repaint it again, and then get these seams filled after it's been painted once. So that is going to be a little bit of a lesson in some micro painting and filling and sanding after it's been wired. And these are pretty delicate as far as how these go in like that. They'll need to be glued in rather than just snap fitted. So that is good progress. So I can paint this. I'll actually pull the nacelles and I'll paint these as individual parts and then get ready to glue it together. Same thing with the nacelles here. They've had 2 coats of black primer, a coat of white paint to reflect the colors around in there, and then a coat of gray primer on the outside. And again, I've got really nice light blocking throughout. Plus, once I get a coat of my base coat on there, that'll be really nice. We've got the glass. We showed you that just most recently. So we are now ready to go into the paint booth and actually spray some color on this. And then once the color's on, then I can bring it back out and start my wiring for the bottom of the hull. Light up these 4 points there. I think those turned out pretty nice, so we'll light those 4 points up, and then once those are done, we'll come back, wire it all up, figure out how to run the wiring here, and I'm hoping to just run one wire out the bottom, or one set of wires out the bottom, and power that up like I've done with both the Senjao and the Discovery. So this looks good, I like it, and when I come back with you, we will have some silver on this. Talk to you soon. Alright, hey, we are out of paint. There's the silver, and it's really looking nice. So I'm pleased with how that's turned out, and just doing some rudimentary quick wiring. So a couple of things I'm going to do here. I've already put 2 of my red lights in here for impulse, and then I'm just going to take a little piece of styrene and cover that up a little bit to light block that somewhat, just enough to keep it from pushing red light into the main hull, because this is all going to get white. So my next step, where I have this top of the hull sits over the top like such and such. So I need to mark where I want to put. I need to mark where I want to put my SMDs on the bottom, shining up through those particular holes. So I've just taken my so they're right there. Just took my mechanical pencil and drew up a quick spot there and there, there, and there. If I can get them close, we'll be just fine. So the next step then would be to take my white SMDs, and you can see how tiny these are. And these are 0402 SMDs, which means that SMD, it's 4 micron, 4/10 of a millimeter square is what that is. And so real simply, what I'm going to do is come here where they shine, and I guess I can demonstrate, maybe demonstrate the bright white coming out of there. Okay. So for the red, or the hot, and that's a this is a 200 ohm. This is a 200 ohm resistor. I'm not going to use that much of a resistor, but that's what I had on my end of my wiring here. And this is just a 5 volt coming in. So you can see it on 200 ohms, that's fairly bright. I really need to update these clamps with something that clamps tighter or more precisely. It's probably a better phrase. So all I really intend to do is just glue that down just like that, right? And that gives me a great bit of light. Now that's pointing down. You can see that's pointing down. If I can rotate that around, now it's pointing up. Not quite up. That is sometimes the challenge with these. That's pointing straight up. So now if I come in where that spot was at, I can put a little drop of super glue back on the wire, and then on top of that I'll use, I have a little tiny syringe here that I use with kicker. For just a second. Now that light is in, so I'm going to do that for the other 4, and that should provide really nice light. Let's see if I get it here. Oh yeah, that provides really nice light for that window at the top. Put microcrystal clear in there, and you can see the difference between the 3 that aren't lit and the one that is. And I think that that is going to be dynamite. Plus, it's going to add support light for that bridge, or not bridge light, registry light. And then if we get 4 in here, it'll be interesting to see what it looks like. So that's just the real simple lighting process. And you know, so this is going to have quite a few little SMDs in here. And then I got to figure out if I can get them all put together with a resistor or not. But essentially, if you look at these, you can see what is the top side and which is the bottom. And then all you have to do is come in like that. And once that's in, just hit it with a little bit of super glue. And this is just Loctite super glue gel control. And then a little shot of kicker. Flatten it out a little bit so that it holds. And that one's in, and that one's in. So 2 more quickly. And then we'll put, again, my 5 mil that I already sanded. I'm going to try to put that like right here, if it'll fit. Because I really want it under this glass here to light up my line there. And it should, with all the other light in here, it should light up fine for that. And I might have to, I might spray this here in white to diffuse it. I'll spray primer on the back of it to diffuse all of that stuff. I don't want it clear, so that will also help. And I can bend that around or put it like that so that it lights it up. But other than that, pretty simple. And we can actually just grab 1, 2 more here. And now where this is going to go, we'll just, same thing. I'm looking to where that yellow is on that tiny little SMD. Come in right there. One drop out of my syringe. And this, I'm just trying to flatten that out with my knife a little bit. That is done. And then one last one. Might as well get all 4 of them done while we're in it. There's actually 2 there. That's how tiny these are. And there we go. Shot of super glue. And that's just 1 drop out of that syringe. It's going to give me more than enough activator to light that up and yet hold it in place. That one's good and solid. And the reason I send these back further like that is because that gives you a release valve if tweezers are at the moment. There we go. If you have it up further, see, I can pull on that and I'm not putting any pressure on that. Same over here. I can pull on it, but I'm not putting any pressure on the connections to that SMD. And that's huge, right? So by doing that, that gives me just a little more safety net when you're moving wires and stuff all around. So now what I'll do is I'll try to cut these back pretty short, say right here, and I'll try to cut that about right there. Put a resistor in there and a little piece of shrink wrap, and then that still gives me all of that. Once that resistor is in, and I can then come out to here, wherever I want to come, probably back to there, probably where all these are connecting. I'll connect all 4 of those red wires, because I've already got resistors in line. It's still 5-volt parallel. I'll connect all 5 of those to one wire, along with the 2 red wires coming off of the impulse engines, and along with the 1 red coming off. So that will be 7 red wires connected, and I could even go through right now and start connecting all of the blacks and just do 1 black wire here. And then I can connect 1 wire that feeds down through the neck, which that's my hole right there. 1 wire feed down through the neck into the secondary hull, and then that top is done. And then from there I can go and then do the 2 wires out of the nacelles and connect those in the secondary hull right out through it. So that is how I just put in and mount my SMDs. It seems to work pretty nice, and then we'll go from there. So thank you, and we'll be back with some more wiring. Thanks. Well, all right. Hey, that's going to wrap up our video here for the USS Enterprise Ncc 1701 from Star Trek Discovery, the CBS All Access television streaming show. Do appreciate you coming along on this particular first half of the build. We're going to wrap up the other half here shortly, but this is an exciting work for me that I get to put together this Constitution class Enterprise. Very, very cool little kit. Having a lot of fun putting it together. The wiring is going along really nicely, and definitely enjoy doing this model. I know that you could be anywhere else in the world, watching anything else in the world, but you're spending time here with me, and I appreciate that greatly. If you do like what you see, go ahead and take a moment and hit that like button. Very much appreciate that. It helps the algorithm from Google to do its thing. If you would also like to take a moment and subscribe or share the video, that also helps us out greatly as well. Hope you have a wonderful afternoon, evening, day, whatever you're doing, and we will see you in the next video. Thank you.